Let's get started. Thanks everyone for joining this session on Python collections. My name is Kishore. I would want to give you a brief overview on how to work in Python and how can be used for our various programming activities. So I'll move on to the next slide. So the agenda for today is I'll give you an overview of what collections is, how collections can be used, and basically there are four types of collections in Python: lists, tuple, set, and dictionary. So we'll see how lists work, how tuples work, how we can use sets, and how we can work with dictionaries. So each one of them has their own advantages and limitations. So we're going to closely look at each one of these data structures, each one of these collections, and how it can be used in Python. So if you learn how these four collections can be used, you can pretty much say I know how to work with collections in Python. And collections is a very important concept. Any programming language, it's really important concept. It's like it's like multiple units being grouped together into a single unit. So the advantage of collections is we can have n number of elements, n number of items grouped together in a single unit. That's the main reason why we use collections. And as depicted in the picture here, collections is like a basket. It's one container that you can add or remove or transport items from one location to another location. So you can visualize collections as one basket, as a container where you can add items, you can remove items, and you can move these baskets, or you can move these containers from one location to another location. So that's the advantage of using collections. And the reason why we should use collections is it reduces programming and maintenance effort. And another advantage of collections is the size of the collections can grow or shrink according to our requirement. You can increase the size of the collection, or you can decrease the size of the collection. And in Python, the property, or the size property, is automatic, meaning as and when you add items, it continues to grow. The size of the collection continues to grow, and as and when you remove the items, the size of the collection also shrinks. So you don't have to really worry about how I manage the size of the collection, how much memory it will occupy, where should I save this in the memory. So all this is abstracted from the programmers. Python takes care of all these things on its own. And collections is very efficient at the time of retrieving, sorting, and manipulating bulk data. If you want to sort bulk data, if you want to push huge data into the database, or you want to perform some aggregate operations on data, that is where you need to use collections, and that is where collections become highly efficient. Not only in Python, any programming language, the main reason of using collections is if you want to process, retrieve, or store huge amounts of data or bulk data. So that's where you need to use collections. And with Python, it is much more easier to work with collections, which I will show you in a while. So let me move on to the next slide, where I want to show you what type of collections we would discuss in this session. So in this particular session, as I mentioned before, we'll talk about four different kinds of collections: list, tuple, set, and dictionary. So these are the 4 different types of collections that we are going to we're, we're going to work with. So let's get started with lists, and to make understanding a little easier, what I've done is I've just put up a comparison table. What the table depicts, or what the table shows is, it shows the properties of each and every collection. For example, I've listed all the properties or the attributes on one side. Attributes like ordering, whether it's changeable or not, whether indexing is possible or not, the representation, how to read, write from a list, tuple, set, and a dictionary, how to add items to the collection, how to update items in a collection, how to remove items in a collection, and how to iterate all the items in one collection. So I've just put up this table to help the understanding better, or to make the understanding easier. So let's first take up the list. The ordered property for list is yes, meaning you can order a list and items are changeable. You can change the items in a list. It is indexed. You can access the items with the help of an index, and it is represented by square braces. The list is represented by square braces, and give the name of the list and then the index. The index starts from 0. The list index starts from 0. If you want to read items or get items from the list, give the name of the list and give the index. If you want to add items into the list, you have 2 methods available. One of them is insert, and the another one is append. And if you want to update items inside the list, you want to change any particular item of the list, you can just say, give the name of the list, the value of the index, the index that you want to change equals the value that you want to update to. To remove items from the collection, you have 2 methods, remove and pop. These are the 2 methods that you can use to remove items from a list. And there is a for each loop available. You can iterate. You can iterate through all the items of the list with the help of the for each loop. So let's look at working with lists. I'll give you a quick demo on how to use lists in Python. So this is my PyCharm. I've opened PyCharm here. And after opening PyCharm, I've created a new project called PyCollections demo. So to create a new project, just say file and then say new project, give the name of the project gets created. And after creating a project, I've right-clicked on the project and set new Python file. After the project is created, I've right-clicked on the project and created a new Python file, and I have named the Python file as app.py. App is the name of my Python file, and this is the file where I will write my code related to all the collections. Okay, so let me quickly create one list. To create a list in Python, just say my list. This is the name of my list, equals, and it represented by square braces. This is how I create one. I create one list in Python. So I have created a list, an empty list or a blank list called my list. So if I want to add items within the list, let me add a couple of items. Let me add a few cities. I'll add Bangalore, Pune, and Hyderabad. These are the three items I've added to the list, and now let's say I want the size of the list. I want to find out what is the size of the list. So I'll just say print, and I'll say my list dot. There is one method called length. There's a method called length which will give you the size of this list. And now when I run this app.py, when I run my Python script, it says the size of this list is 3, or there are three items in the list. If I want the first item from the list, I would say print my list of 0. So this will give me the first item in the list, which is Bangalore. So now when I run this, it will give me Bangalore. This is the first item in the list. So this is how you read or retrieve items from a list. And the items in the list are changeable. You can okay. First let's look at the ordered property, and then we'll come to the changeable property. The items in the list can be ordered, meaning I can sort the items in a list. So what I can do is I can say my list dot sort. So this will sort the list, and after I've sorted, just print my list. What I've done is I wanted to sort or order the list using a method called sort. It will order the list alphabetically, and now when I run this, this is the list before sorting. Let me print the list before it got sorted. Okay, so this is the list. The first list is before sorting, and after sorting the list, I've done another print. So this is the list before sorting, and this is the list after sorting. You see that it is arranged, or it has sorted the list alphabetically. So lists can be sorted, or lists can be ordered by using a method called sort. So by using this method, you can sort a list or order a list. Now let's look at we've looked at ordered. We've seen how to order the list. Now we can see how to change an item in the list. So let's say I want to change the first item in the list. I will say my list of 0 equals. Now when I print the list, the first item in the list is now changed . Sorry, this is not a list, this is my list. Sorry about that. So the first item in the list gets changed from Bangalore to Chennai. So this is how you update or change any item in a list. And as I mentioned, the lists are indexed, and the index starts from 0. So if I have a list with 3 items, the index starts at 0 and ends at 2. And we've seen the list representation. It is represented by a square brackets, and we've also seen how to how to get or how to read the items in the list by using an index. And now we'll see how to insert or add or append an item into the list by using a method called insert or append. Let me do the insert first. I'll say mylist dot insert. So what insert does is it takes two arguments. It takes two arguments: the index and the item that you want to insert. So if I want to insert a name of the city, or if I want to insert an item in the second position, so the index is 1 and the item that I want to add is, let's say, Delhi. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to add an item Delhi to my list, and I want to add that in the second position. And now when I print my list, it adds Delhi to the second position in the list. So whenever you are doing an insert, make sure that you give an index to specify where in the list you want to add your item. And another way of adding an item to the list is by using the append method. You can say mylist dot append, and we'll say Mumbai, and print the list after appending Mumbai. Now just observe what happened is Mumbai gets added as the last item in the list. So if you don't want to insert it in between the list, you can use a method append. So what append does is, by default, it adds the item at the end of your list. So this is how you can add or insert or append your items into the list. The next thing I want to do is an update. I think we've already done the update here. Let's say I want to update the third item in the list. Let's say my list of, if you want to update the third item, which is of index 2, equals with the item that you want to update. So the third item in the list, I want to update it with Cochin. And now when I do the print, Cochin becomes Hyderabad is replaced with Cochin. Hyderabad was the third item, and now I've ensured that the third item is Cochin. So this is how you update items in the list. The next thing I want to do is remove an item from the list. You can do that in two ways. You can use the remove method, or you can use the pop method. There are two ways that you can remove or delete an item from the list, either by using the remove method or by using the pop method. To remove an item, say mylist dot remove, and mention the item that you want to remove. Let's say I want to remove Pune from this list, and then print my list. So what happens is Pune goes off the list. I'm deleting this particular item from the list. Pune is not there in my list now. It got deleted. Another way to remove an item from the list is by using a method called pop. And here I can give an index. Let's say I give 0 as the index. And now when I print my list, just observe I'm removing item 0 from the list. And after I print the list, after I print or run this, Chennai goes off the list. I'm trying to remove item number 0 from the list. So you can remove an item by specifying the value of that item or the name of the item, or if you know the index of the item, you can still remove the item from the list by using the methods called remove and pop. So these are the two ways that you can remove your list items. And you can also say my list dot pop. What this does is, what my list dot pop does is, it removes the recently added item into the list. If you don't specify any arguments to pop, if you don't give any arguments to pop here, what it does is it removes the recently added item. So the recently added item or the last added item was Mumbai, and when I say pop, it removes that particular item from the list. So this is how you perform different operations on lists. You can sort, you can add an item by the index, you can append an item to the list. Append will add the item at the end. You can change a particular value from the list. You can change or update a value from the list. You can remove an item from the list by using a method called remove or pop. So if you want to use remove, you need to know what item you want to remove. If you want to use pop, you need to know what is the index of the item that you want to remove. And if you provide a wrong index, let's say for example, I want to remove the 5th item from this list, and there is no 5th item in this list. In the current list, I don't have a 5th item. So now when I say my list dot pop and say 5, and this item does not, I know this item does not exist in the list. My list has only 2 items, 0 and 1. And now I'm trying to delete the 5th item from the list. It throws one error saying pop index out of range. You can't delete something that's not there in the list. You can't delete something that is not present in the list. So this is about lists. Let me comment this because it's going to give an error. And what you could also do is you can say my list dot reverse. So what reverse does is it will just reverse your existing list. So it will just print the items in, or it will just reverse the items within the list. The first item in the list becomes the last item, and the last item in the list becomes the first item. That is what reverse does. So basically, if you want to sort something in a descending order, so you first sort it in the ascending order by using a sort method, and then do the reverse. So what reverse will do is it would sort that particular list in the descending order. So this is what I had about lists, and let's go to the next collection, which is a tuple. A tuple works a little differently from the list. There are quite a few differences between list and a tuple. The first difference is the tuple cannot be ordered. So if you have created a tuple with a particular order, that order remains and it is not changeable. You can't change the items in you can't order a tuple. And another important property here is a tuple cannot be changed, meaning I have 3 items and I can't add a 4th item, nor I can change an existing item in a tuple. It's something like a write protected list. So once you've created a tuple, you can't make any more changes, nor you can add items, or you can update items, nor you can delete the items. A tuple is not changeable. And a tuple is indexed. You can get the first item from the list, you can get the second item, 3rd item from the list, and so on. And you can also use a for each loop to get all the items from either a list or a tuple. So one of the important properties of a tuple is it's not changeable. So if you try to change something in a tuple, it will give you an error. It throws an error. That is called the immutable property of a tuple, and it is represented by normal parenthesis. So let me first create one tuple here. I create a new Python file, call it as tuple demo. So, and I'll create one tuple here, and let me add a few cities there: Bangalore, Chennai, and Pune. And now, let's say I want to add something to the tuple. There's no method like an append or a there's no method like an append or an add method or an insert method for a tuple, which means that you can't add items to one tuple. You can get the length of the tuple, you can get the size of the tuple by doing a mytuple dot length. Sorry, I want to run tuple demo, not app. Let me right click on tuple demo and then say run tuple demo. Yeah, so the size of this tuple is 3, and if I try to change the item, if I say my tuple of 0 equals something else, some other city. So now what happens is it throws an error. It says tuple object does not support item assignment. You can't assign. It's there in line number 4. Line number 4 throws an error. You can't assign or change an item in a tuple. So once the tuple is created, it's right protected. You can't change any item, nor you can add any item, nor you can remove any item from a tuple. And you can get all the items from a tuple by using a for each loop. You can say for I in my tuple, which means that for each item in my tuple, print the item. So what this does is this will print each and every item in your tuple. So it prints all the 3 items in the tuple. But the only thing you need to remember is it cannot be ordered. You can't sort it in ascending or descending order, nor you can change any items in the tuple. But it is indexed. If you want to get the values or if you want to read the values, you can read it by the index. And as mentioned, you need to remember that you can't add, update, or remove items from a tuple because of its immutable property. So it's something like a right protected list. So once you created a tuple, you can just read items, and you cannot modify that. Nowhere in your program you can add, update, or remove items from a tuple. So with that, we move on to the next dictionary, which is a set. Set is a very interesting type of collection in Python. So let me create a new Python file, call it as set_demo. And I'll create a new set here and say my set equals. It is represented by a flower braces. And here I can give the names of these cities. Let's say Chennai, Delhi, and Mumbai. So now to get the size of the set, I can say my set dot length. This should give me 3. I'll print the size of my set. This should give me the size as, sorry, I think I'm not running set demo, I'm running Tuple demo. So to run set demo, I'll right click on this and say run set demo. Yeah, so this gives me the size or the length of the set as 3. And one more important thing here is set is not ordered. You cannot sort a set. There is no method in the set class that you can order it. You can just check whether an item exists in a set or not. You can verify whether the item exists in a set or not. I can say my set dot contains Delhi. This should return a true. If Delhi is there in my set, it will return a true. If not, if something is not there in my set, let's say for example Bangalore is not there in my set. When I say does my set contain Bangalore, it should say false, because Bangalore does not belong to my set. Another important thing here in the set is you can add items to a set, but the item will get added only if it is not present, if that item is not present. So basically what it means is you cannot have duplicates in your set. You cannot create duplicate items in your set. Items within a set have to be unique. So this is one of the most important characteristic of a set. You cannot have same items repeated in your set. All other collections support that. You can have the same items in a list. You can have items duplicated in your list. You can have items duplicated in your tuple, but the set does not allow that. For example, if I say this is my set. It has 3 items: Mumbai, Delhi, and Chennai. If I try to add, I'll say my set dot add. If I try to add Mumbai again, and then print my set, it doesn't get added. You can basically have only one Mumbai in your set. It doesn't get duplicated. But I can add Bangalore because it's not there in my set. So Bangalore can be added, but not Mumbai. Once again, because it is already there in that particular item is already exists in the set. So this is one of the most important characteristics of the set. You cannot have duplicate items, and you cannot the set is not indexed. So if it's not indexed, basically I cannot say print my set of 0. So when I do this, it will give me an error. It clearly says the set does not support indexing. So the indexing property of the set is no. It doesn't support indexing. So you cannot say this is my first item, this is my second item, this is my third item. No, you can't do that in a set. You can do that in a tuple or a list, but not in a set. So you can so you can just make sure that you don't have duplicate items within your set, and you cannot update an existing value. That doesn't make sense. You can just add an item to the set if it's not present. So if it's already present, it doesn't get added. And you can remove an item from the set if you know the value. Because it's not indexed, you cannot give the index to remove an item from the set. You need to know the value if you want to remove an item from the set. So I will say my set dot remove, and I want to remove Chennai. And now when I print the set, Chennai is gone. Chennai is not there in my set. So you can just add items. There's no concept of updating items in a set. You can just add. You can just continue to add unique items in your set, and you can remove an item from your set if you know the value. Because it is not indexed, you cannot provide an index at the time of deletion. You need to know the value of the item that you want to delete. And you can also use the contains method to check whether a particular item is present in your list or not. So if it contains, you don't add, but if it doesn't contain, it returns a false, and then you can add the item in your list. And what you could also do is you can add a for each loop. I can say for each item in your set. Sorry, for each item in my set. For each item in my set, I can print the item. So it prints each and every item in the set. So what for each loop does is it goes through each of the item in the set. It runs for this particular for each loop runs for 3 times, because there are 3 items in this collection. So it runs for the number of items present in your collection, and for each item you can perform any operation. I'm doing a print operation here. Let's say you want to put this into another collection, like you want to copy this into a list, you want to append it to a dictionary, or you want to write that value to a database, or you want to put this value in an Excel file. You can do whatever operations you want within this for each loop. And there is another function called type. This another function called type. Let's say, for example, I will say type of my set. So what this basically does is it gives what type of collection is my set. It says it belongs to a class called set. So this particular my set collection belongs to a class called set. And now let's say I create a list and say my list equal, and I'll have a couple of few items in my list. And now I want to know what type of collection is my list. So I'll say print type of my list. It says that it's a list. Similarly, a tuple. I can create a tuple called my collection equals. I'll create a tuple of integers, and then I can say print print type of my collection, and now it prints this is a set. If it's flower brackets, it's a set. A tuple is represented by parentheses, not a flower brackets. Only dictionaries and sets are represented by flower brackets. Tuples are represented by parentheses. So now, when I say print type of my collection, it says it's a tuple. So let's say you have a collection and you want to know what type of collection it is. Just say type. Use the type function, which will return what type of collection it is, whether it's a set, a list, a tuple, or a dictionary. So now that we have talked about sets, and these are all the different attributes a set has. We'll move on to dictionaries. Dictionaries, I think, is the widely used collection in Python, because it can be ordered, it can be changeable, it can be indexed. and it has many other advantages. One of the most important advantage of a dictionary is you can represent the dictionary in the form of a key value pair. So each value or each item in your dictionary can have a key, and this becomes very useful in cases where you are returning, where you are reading or where you are working with heterogeneous data. Let's say, for example, you have you want to save the first item in the dictionary as a string, the second item in the dictionary as a number, the third item in the dictionary as a Boolean value, the fourth item in the dictionary as a float. So that is where dictionaries help a lot. You can save it in key value pairs. So let's see that in form of a simple example. I'll create a new Python file here called demo dictionary or demo dict, and here I will create a new dictionary called mydict, and dictionaries are represented again by flower brackets. So that is how dictionaries are represented with the help of a flower bracket, and it can have a key value pair. I can say name is Kishore, and I can say experience. I can put some number here. Let's say 8 years of experience, and I can say what else? Interests or skills. I can create a list of skills here. I can say Java, Python, DevOps, Selenium. So these are all my skills. I can put all the skills in one list. So basically, what I'm doing is I've created a dictionary, and inside the dictionary, I'm creating another list. And for this list, I'm assigning a key called skills. So now, if I try to get the size of my dictionary, let's say print my dict dot length, it should give me. Sorry, I think I made the same mistake again. I don't want to run set underscore demo. I want to run dictionary. Run. Yeah. So there are 3 items in the list, and I want to get all my skills. I can say print my dict of skills. So this prints this prints the entire list present in the dictionary. And let's say I want to get, or I want to print the experience. I'll say my dictionary of EXP. So this says 8. So basically, you can create a dictionary by giving the key value pairs. And if you want to update anything, let's say you want to update the experience, I'll say dictionary of EXP equals 10. And now when I try to print all the items in the dictionary, it has changed the value to 10. So this is how you read and update values in a dictionary. And to remove items from a dictionary, you can say dictionary dot pop and provide the key. Let's say I want to remove the name, and then I'll print all the items in my dictionary. So the name in the dictionary is gone. So this is how you can remove items from a dictionary, and you can also add a for each loop let's say, for example, I will add my name back and say dictionary dot. Sorry, I can just say dictionary of name equals, and then this should have added the name back. And now if I want to iterate through the entire dictionary, I can say for all items in the dictionary, for I in the dictionary, say print I dot dictionary dot. Let's see what happens if I just put I. If I just put I, what happens is it will just give me all the keys. It will not give me the values. If I just print I, it will just give me all the keys. So this dictionary has 3 keys: the experience, the skills, and the name. So it just gives the or it just gets the keys. Now, if I want the value, what I need to do is I need to say print the dictionary and value of key I. So it's a key value. Since it's a key value pair, you need to say dictionary and specify the key here. Now you will get all the items from the now you will get all the values from the dictionary. So this is how you get. This is how you try to read or get different items from the dictionary. I read a message from Ketan. This seems to be a very interesting session. I would prefer a Hangout session rather than YouTube, as we can ask questions on Hangout. Okay. Thanks, Ketan, for the feedback. What I will do is I'll make sure I conduct I'll make sure the sessions are interactive. Yeah, feedback taken, Ketan. Will make sure that we'll make sure that the sessions become more and more interactive. Thanks for the feedback. And guys, if you have any kind of feedback or if you have any kind of questions, can you please post it on the chat so that I can make sure the future sessions are more better and informative. Okay. So with that, let me continue. Let me continue here. What I tried to do here was get all the items from the get all the items from the list, and you can do the same thing with the dictionary as well. If you want to know what type of collection is this, you can just say print type of dictionary. It would say it's a dictionary object. So just make sure you use the type function to find out what kind of collection it is. So with this, we move to the end of this session. Please, if you have any questions, please ensure that you post it in the chat, so that if you've not understood any part of the session, or if you think you need more clarity on any collection, I'm looking at the chat window. Please post any questions you have, so that I can repeat the questions. And And if you need access to any of the scripts that I've written in this session, I can send it to them as well. I can send them as well. Make sure you've written an email to kishore@testersconnect.com. I will make sure I will forward the scripts to you, and you can refer them or you can use them, or you can keep them as a reference. And I can share these slides as well. Let me know if you want the slides. I can send you these slides as well. And if you not only on collections, you think you need any other information on Python, please make sure you ping me, and I can help you out with whatever information you need. And we would be regularly posting videos on this YouTube channel on Python, YouTube, Java. Sorry, not YouTube. Sorry about that. Python, Java, DevOps, and Selenium and testing. We would continuously post videos on these areas. So make sure you've subscribed to this. And you can ping me if you have any questions. My email ID is there on the slide. You can reach out to me in case you have any questions. I'm looking at the chat window now. Do you guys have any questions? If you don't have any questions, we can end this session. Okay, looks like there are no questions. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this YouTube live session. Let's catch up next week with another interesting session on Python. Thank you so much.